But I also need to tell you about another rally that's coming up tomorrow, because the issue of the Bighorn Country Parks is not over yet, and you only have a few more days if you care about it to weigh in. It's happening February the 15th as the end of the consultation. It seems like they're just steamrolling over all of the dissent. They had 4 last-minute public consultations that they held on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We heard from Jason Nixon saying most people are seeing red. All of the council members seem opposed to it, but there's a whole other angle that hasn't even been discussed, and that is that the First Nations communities are opposed to it too. So I wanted to bring somebody on who could tell us a bit about their concern. My guest now is Joey Pete. He's band counselor for the Sunchild First Nation, and he joins me now to talk about it. Joey, thanks so much for being with me today.
Hello.
Hello. So first of all, I haven't heard what your opposition is to the plan, and so why don't you give me an idea of how it is that it impacts you?
Well, it not only impacts me, but it impacts the 3 nations, the Sunchild, the Ochis, and the Bighorn. Also, the other nation, Small Boy Camp, right? And their direct ties to the land.
So how does it impact you? Because I think a lot of people would think, oh, well, if you turn it into an area where you're going to have limited development, you still allow hunting, you would think that would be in sync with your traditional use. Is it not?
No, we already protect the land, right? We utilize the land. We live off the land. We have treaty rights in place, and we have to remember that we have them treaty rights, that we did not sell the land, right?
So what are you fearful will happen if these parks come into effect? How would that impact you and the other bands?
Well, it'll impact us. It'll have a cultural impact, right, on us. We won't be able to gather our medicines. We won't be able to do what we always need to do on that land, right? Like we've been going for generations and generations, utilizing that land, those areas, not only our people, but other nations as well. And these areas are sacred, and, you know, if they're trying to turn it into a park, I know it ain't going to happen because we ain't going to allow it, because it's a total infringement on our treaty rights, right? And our direct ties to the land. Does park status then prevent you from hunting? Does it prevent you from gathering? Does it prevent you from doing other activities in there? Yes, there's a lot of things that are going to be preventing us to practice our customs and traditions, right? Just like with all these other little parks that were created without even consulting us, right? Well, every time I hear an NDP government official speak, they always acknowledge the treaty land on which they speak. So they give the impression that they're doing this consultation, and they give the impression they have a very good relationship with First Nations. So what has been the consultation with your band and with the others? You know, the funny thing is that we didn't know about it. Everybody else did. And once we found out about it, we started trying, you know, to get more involved, and we haven't been able to reach out. Yes, there was media, but every time we spoke, media, the cameras went off, and, you know, even on the newspaper, it even said that First Nations weren't even there when we were there, right? That's so surprising, because it doesn't take much for, say, for instance, the Coastal GasLink. There were only 15 individuals who raised concerns about that one, and it was national, indeed international news. So, yes. So it would seem odd that your opposition to this wouldn't be able to get any media coverage. Yes, that's right, and that's what I don't get. I don't understand it, but I understand Jason Nixon. You know, he's doing a awesome job being at all the rallies, especially Rally Canada and everybody else that's involved, right? It's not only going to hurt us, it's going to hurt everybody else that utilizes the backcountry, right? So, you know, we got to work collectively. We got to figure out a solution here that's going to work for all of us. So I understand there's going to be another rally on Wednesday. So it's both First Nations and Métis Nation rally in conjunction with Rally Canada. Wednesday, 6:30 in Rocky Mountain House. Do you have a location for that? it's going to be in the school parking lot there. We've talked to the mayor and a bunch of other people. We have a bus load. We have a bus that's going to be picking people up in our nation, and we should have the support from all the nations, also from Pigeon Lake and the Sunshell, the Ochis, the Bighorn. And we're going to have the Ogichitas there, right? There are ceremony warriors, hey? They're going to be there, and at the rally, they're going to be singing, right? And, we're going to be practicing our inherent rights.
All right. Well, hopefully you'll be able to get a little bit more coverage for it then. Thanks for letting us be aware of it, and we'll continue to follow it.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Yeah,
and I appreciate anything that will help us, because right now the NDP government isn't doing what we want them to do. They're just rolling ahead, say like a big steamroller, right?
That's how a lot of people are feeling these days. Joey, thank you so much for your time today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Joey Pete is a band counselor for Sunchild First Nation. This is the problem, isn't it? Is that every time you've got First Nations groups that back the government agenda, they have no problem getting their message out and having people stand with them. When you've got First Nations that don't back the government agenda, not only are they having a hard time getting heard, but they're having a hard time even getting the consultation, even getting to the first step on this. Does there seem to be a little bit of hypocrisy there in the way governments address these issues? We've been talking about Indigenous reconciliation for what? The entire 4-year term so far of the current government, plus a couple of years prior to that. Is this what Indigenous consultation looks like? Is this what reconciliation looks like? Is if they agree with your agenda, you listen to them, but if they don't, you shut them down? Anyway, just wanted to let you know it's not just Jason Nixon and UCP supporters and off-highway vehicle riders who are opposed to this plan. They weren't, and mayors and reeves that weren't consulted. The First Nations chiefs and Métis Nation weren't either. Let's take a pause.